where you stream to watch that, watch this, and I'll dive down through this hairy flesh.
Hi, and welcome to Watch This. I'm CJ Johnson with your special Oscars episode. We're going to go through the categories and make our predictions and talk about them. Enjoy. When I was a child, my favorite thing was the Oscars. Some kids like birthdays, some kids like Christmas. I like the Oscars. It's been that way ever since I can remember, and certainly going back into my very early teens. I've always been incredibly good at making Oscar predictions, probably because I see all the movies and I have opinions, and I've also taught myself over the years to understand how the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences works, how their collective hive mind works, and how they make their choices. Unfortunately, over the years, the business of Oscar prediction has grown and grown. And these days, there are so many pundits out there making the same kind of predictions that I always used to make that it has gotten easier for everyone. The hive mind has collectively announced its intentions. So whereas I used to be able to make bets and win some good odds on the Oscars, and indeed I used to do that and always make a few $1,000s a year, now there's no real reason to do it. For example, for me to bet on La La Land to win Best Picture would barely get me any odds because everyone knows La La Land is going to win Best Picture. See what I mean? There are so many people out there, and the art of predicting the Oscars has actually become a science, and we kind of all know. So I'm not going to tell you during this Oscar preview and prediction list that I'm about to give you that my predictions are better than anyone else's, because they're probably in line with other predictions that you've already read. But maybe you haven't read any predictions, in which case here you go. And also, maybe I will have some surprises because I will at least be able to comment on why certain films are favoured to be the potential winners, but I will also tell you which of the nominees I think should win. Also, I will occasionally refer to Jim Flanagan's picks. He sent me through his picks, and we'll see whether he or I pick right. He'll join me on Watch This after the Oscars for a wrap-up and a gloat session. Writing original screenplay. We've got Hell or High Water, Manchester by the Sea, La La Land, 20th Century Women, and The Lobster for Best Original Screenplay. I reckon it's going to go to Manchester by the Sea, and I think it should go to Manchester by the Sea. Of course, the big thinking is that La La Land, nominated for 14 Oscars, could sweep. I don't think La La Land is going to win the award for original screenplay because it is a musical, and everything about it that's wonderful is about its technical artistry and its music and its boldness. But in terms of actual screenplay, in terms of telling a story really well with killer dialogue, I think everyone can agree that Manchester by the Sea is the best example this year of an original screenplay. Intriguingly, Jim Flanagan, I believe, thinks that Hell or High Water is going to win, even though he wants Manchester by the Sea to win. I think you're wrong, Jim. I think Manchester by the Sea will get the Oscar for Kenneth Lonergan. In terms of the adapted screenplay, Arrival, Lion, Fences, Moonlight, and Hidden Figures are nominated. I was thinking a little while ago that Lion was going to sneak in here and Australian Luke Davies was going to win the Oscar, but more and more I feel that Moonlight will actually get this award because Moonlight is probably not going to win some of the big awards like Best Film, and the way it is going to pick up an award will be here in writing the adapted screenplay. It's a bit of a contentious one because it is adapted from a play that I don't believe was ever actually produced, so it's only just an adapted screenplay. It's really an original screenplay. And indeed, the BAFTAs, the British version of the Oscars, nominated it in the original screenplay category, as have a couple, of other guilds and awards. So it's an interesting one. Here, I think Moonlight will pick it up. I think probably it shouldn't even be considered an original, and therefore I think Lion should win. Let's look at production design. Arrival, La La Land, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Passengers, and Hail Caesar are nominated. Let's rule out Passengers straight away. It was widely ridiculed upon release, not only considered a bad film, but really ridiculed as a bait and switch because the ads for passengers advertised one kind of film and what you got was something else entirely. I don't think it has a chance, nor particularly do I think Fantastic Beasts has much of a chance, although widely considered a pretty good film and obviously an intriguing production design of old New York. I think we're really looking at Arrival and La La Land here. Jim's pick is Hail Caesar, Jim Flanagan. My pick, I think, of these ones, I think I would have to go with La La Land because I think the production design in La La Land is very, very clever. They've taken LA as it is and just sort of jazzed it up to a certain degree. So it's kind of a magical realist version of actual LA, which I think suits the tone of La La Land and the style of La La Land and what director Damien Chazelle was going for with La La Land so perfectly that I think is the fulfillment of an artistic creative brief, La La Land is really quite exceptional. In terms of music, best original song, there are two from La La Land, City of Stars, ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da, and Audition, The Fools Who Dream. That's the big one towards the end that Emma Stone sings at her audition. It could go to the song How Far I'll Go from Moana, especially since that one is written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wrote Hamilton, the musical, the most celebrated musical of all time on Broadway. So we'll see. I think it might also potentially go to City of Stars from La La Land. That seems to be the song that most people are able to hum from that movie. But as I say, La La Land's two nominations here could split the vote, and it might go to the Moana song. I doubt it'll go to the song from Trolls or from Jim, the James Foley story, which is a documentary, and very unlikely to win the best song. In terms of music original score, gosh, this is a good category. The score for Jackie by Mika Levy is amazing. The score for Moonlight by Nicholas Britell is amazing. The score for La La Land is obviously the most obvious frontrunner here because La La Land, unlike the other movies, is a musical. Once again, we can rule out Passengers. That film was so widely ridiculed upon its release, I can't imagine that they're going to now give it an Oscar for its score for Thomas Newman. And we've got a beautiful score for Lion by Dustin O'Halloran and Hushchaka. Pardon me, Hushchaka, if I've mispronounced your single name there. I remember liking the music for Lion, but not being stunned by it, whereas the music for Moonlight and Jackie both is incredible. So I've got to say it's between Jackie, Moonlight and La La Land. I think it's going to go to La La Land and probably should go to La La Land. I mean, we're talking about an original musical with really good songs. It's an original musical score that's very hummable. Get the soundtrack to La La Land and listen to it. It's really good. Makeup and hairstyling is a funny category. We've got A Man Called Uva, which is not like the film last year, the story of the 100-year-old man who walked out the window and disappeared, or whatever it was called. It was called something close to that, where an actor who was in his 60s was made to look 100. This is about an actor who's kind of in his 60s, made to look a little older in his 60s or early 70s, I think. Not much there. Subtle makeup up against Star Trek Beyond, which has Star Trek-y makeup, and Suicide Squad. Unfortunately, I think the disaster that is Suicide Squad is actually going to win an Oscar this year for Best Makeup and Hairstyling. There you go. Them's the breaks. It's an odd category. Foreign language film is a fascinating category. All of the films are good. Land of Mine from Denmark, Tanner from Australia, A Man Called Uva from Sweden, Tony Erdmann from Germany, and The Salesman from Iran. All right. The two films really in contention here are Tony Erdmann from Germany and The Salesman from Iran. I would think, just based on everything that I understand about chatter in the Oscar world, the film that is most admired of these five is Tony Erdmann. It is so audacious. It's a 2-hour, 42-minute comedy that has a lot to say about father-daughter relationships, family, bringing up children, globalization, the corporate world, the European corporate world, the Eurozone in general. It is fantastic. The Salesman is not the best film by Asghar Farhadi. His best film of a few years ago is A Separation, which won the Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film. However, Asghar Farhadi can't come to the Oscars because of Trump's travel ban. He's not coming, and that has made news. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of Oscar voters vote for this film. In a way, their vote is taking little needles and sticking it into the eyeballs of Donald Trump. And a lot of people are going to want to do that at this year's Oscars. So I wouldn't be surprised if, even though The Salesman is not Farhadi's best film, it wins this year as a protest vote against the evil fuckwit that is Donald Trump. I think Tony Erdmann actually deserves to win the Oscar this year. Film editing. An interesting one. Very good films. Arrival, La La Land, Hacksaw Ridge, Moonlight, and Hell or High Water. Hacksaw Ridge is obviously in this category for the second hour. The second hour of Hacksaw Ridge is an exquisitely edited war sequence. However, the first hour is dreadful and badly edited. It's slow, choppy, monotonous, sentimental. Hacksaw Ridge does not deserve to be in this category because only half of that film is well edited. Arrival is a slow, boring movie and shouldn't be in this category. However, Moonlight, La La Land, and Hell or High Water are all exquisitely edited and deserve to be in this category. It's probably going to go to La La Land, but this is one where Moonlight could pick up another sneaky Oscar because it's unlikely to win Best Picture. Best Documentary Short Subject. This is an interesting one. I recommend you go check these out. They are all available online for you to see for free. Extremis, Watani, My Homeland, 4.1 Miles, The White Helmets, and Joe's Violin. Intriguingly about this category, 3 of the nominated films are about Syria, the current situation in Syria. Watani, My Homeland, 4.1 Miles, and The White Helmets. Joe's Violin has a Holocaust connection, and Extremis is about euthanasia in America. They're all deserving subjects, and they're all excellent documentaries. I think Watani, My Homeland is probably slightly the best of 5 very good films and could win based purely on merit. The White Helmets has kind of got the most chatter about it. George Clooney's put his name behind it, and he's organized screenings in Los Angeles for Academy members. So the Clooney connection could pop the White Helmets over the line. Then again, films about the Holocaust or with Holocaust subject matter have always done well in the Academy, whose membership is very strongly Jewish, and Joe's Violin could win the Oscar because it's got that connection. But really, when 3 of the 5 have a Syrian connection or about the situation in Syria, you'd kind of think that one of those would win. So probably will win the White Helmets, probably should win Waitini, My Homeland, but any of them really are deserving winners. And as I say, all are available online right now. Go check them out for free. Why wouldn't you? The Oscars are coming up. We're getting up to some biggies here. Best Documentary Feature, Fire at Sea, OJ Made in America, I Am Not Your Negro, 13th, and Life Animated. 2 of these specifically look at race in the United States, specifically I Am Not Your Negro and 13th, one kind of tangentially, OJ Made in America. However, you could argue that OJ Made in America is all about race. So maybe 3 of them, OJ Made in America, 13th, and I Am Not Your Negro, are about the racial situation in the United States, which, come on, let's face it, is fucked. OJ Made in America is unique among these nominees because it's something like 28 hours long. I'm joking, of course, but it is 8.5 hours long or something like that, which makes it very odd as a nominee, but it was put in cinemas for a week in Los Angeles and New York, which makes it eligible. The filmmakers call it a film that just happened to be shown on television over 5 nights. I personally would not like to see it win, not because I don't love it. I do love it. I think it's amazing, but I do believe it is a piece of television and that they are pulling a dodgy by calling it a feature film. I reckon I Am Not Your Negro might actually slip in here and win. It's a quiet achiever, but it's been getting a lot of love over the last couple of weeks. It's meant to be spectacular. I have not seen it. It brings to life the writings of James Baldwin, and it could get in there. 13th makes a powerful political statement about how the black population of the United States has been systematically imprisoned following directly on from slavery. That could get in there too. It's also directed by a Hollywood darling, Ava DuVernay, at the moment. Life Animated and Fire at Sea, I don't think have a chance. Best Directing. Arrival, Denis Villeneuve, Manchester by the Sea, Kenneth Lonergan, Hacksaw Ridge, Mel Gibson, ha! La La Land, Damien Chazelle, and Moonlight, Barry Jenkins. This is pretty much obviously going to Damien Chazelle, and I think likewise Best Picture is going to Damien Chazelle's film La La Land. I do not think it should win. I think Manchester by the Sea should win. I think Manchester by the Sea is the best film of all of the films across all the Oscar nominees. All of them, and I think it should win Best Picture and Best Director. But La La Land is going to win Best Film and Best Director for Damien Chazelle. Costume design, Allied, Jackie, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, La La Land, and Florence Foster Jenkins. Interesting one. Jackie could pick up an Oscar here. Don't really know why. It's mainly stuff we've seen before, 60s outfits, and especially Jackie's costumes, which are recreations of the actual outfits that Jackie Onassis Kennedy wore. But, it's a really, really brilliant film that not everyone likes, but some people really like. Could slip by there. La La Land, yes, the costumes are good, and they suit the film, but they're not that amazing. It could go to a period costume drama such as Allied or Florence Foster Jenkins, or the more intriguing, because it's a combination of costume period drama and fantasy, being Fantastic Beasts, Where to Find Them. So maybe that one will pick it up there. Best Cinematography: Arrival, Moonlight, La La Land, Silence, and Lion. Lion's been doing pretty well across the Guild Awards in this category. It would be fantastic if Greg Fraser won for Lion. I think it's going to go for La La Land, and for the same reason that I wanted to give it to production design for La La Land. It's not that the production design for La La Land is mind-blowing or jaw-dropping on its own, likewise the cinematography, but they both work so well with what that movie wants to be. That movie is original, and the production design and the cinematography are so in tune with what the director Damien Chazelle wanted out of that movie that I think it is worthy of a win here. Whereas Lion is much more the traditional, oh wow, that looks really great cinematography, if you get my meaning, if you understand the difference. Especially the first half of Lion, shot on the fly in India, is really, really good looking, whereas La La Land is more stylized. It looks like a 1953 musical. So you're talking about sort of an intellectual exercise versus just classic good looking cinematography. Moonlight could sneak in here once again. If Moonlight does start winning these smaller awards that are still pretty big, cinematography for goodness sake, this could be Moonlight's third if it starts winning, chipping away at the La La Land sweep. Arrival, I don't think has a chance, and Silence, as beautiful as I'm told it looks, I haven't seen it yet, I don't think has a chance. Silence is kind of a tough watch, very long, and not everyone's seen it. Animated feature film, I have not seen all of these, but by all accounts, Zootopia manages to say something powerful about race relations in the United States in the guise of an animated Disney film. Come on, that's gotta win. Best Actress in a Supporting Role, this is going to Viola Davis for Fences, which I have not seen yet. Everyone who's seen it says you can't not give it to her. It's a leading role. They've deliberately put her in supporting actress, so she can win it. She's going to win it. Octavia Spencer, Michelle Williams, Naomi Harris, and Nicole Kidman for Hidden Figures, Manchester by the Sea, Moonlight, and Lion, respectively, don't stand a chance. Actor in a Supporting Role, supposedly this is Mahershala Ali's to lose for Moonlight, and I would like to see him win. Jeff Bridges is nominated for Hell or High Water. He was fantastic in that film, but let's face it, he won the actor Oscar for Crazy Heart a few years ago. He doesn't need another Oscar. Lucas Hedges was great in Manchester by the Sea as the younger of the two, but let's face it, he ain't gonna win it. Michael Shannon for Nocturnal Animals. He was brilliant in that film. Let's face it, he ain't gonna win it. Dev Patel for Lion. Interesting, he just won the BAFTA, but let's face it, Mahershala Ali is going to win it for Moonlight. Actress in a leading role, big category, Isabelle Huppert for Elle. She won the Golden Globe, and she is definitely the underdog to win here. Ruth Negga for Loving doesn't stand a chance. Meryl Streep for Florence Foster Jenkins. Come on, it's a role she could have done. Asleep, under sedatives, in a coffin, standing on her head, and it's not even her best performance. I think she only got nominated because of her brilliant speech at the Golden Globes. They'd love to see her give another brilliant speech, and I think they might just let her come out and give a speech anyway, just to stick it to you-know-who. Natalie Portman for Jackie is probably running at number 3, with Isabelle Huppert at number 2, but this is Emma Stone's La La Land. She will win and she should win. Why should she win? Because not only does she give a really nuanced, fantastic performance in La La Land, she holds that movie together. She's in every scene. It is all about her. She also sings and dances beautifully. That's a tough gig. She deserves it and she's going to get it. Unlike Ryan Gosling, her co-star, he is not going to win Best Actor this year. It's not his movie. It's really... I wouldn't have been surprised if they popped him in for Best Supporting Actor. Now they can't because he's obviously the lead actor in that film. The entire film is just the two of them. Then there's John Legend. Then there's like nobody else in the film. So naturally he's up for Best Actor. But, you know, he sings a little, he dances a little. It's not his film. It's Emma Stone's movie. So who's going to win it? It's really between Casey Affleck for Manchester by the Sea and Denzel Washington for Fences. Viggo Mortensen for Captain Fantastic. I'm so glad he got a nomination. He should win. He doesn't stand a chance. Andrew Garfield for Hacksaw Ridge doesn't stand a chance. Is Casey or Denzel going to win it? I think Denzel Washington is going to win it in an upset. Why? Because he won the SAG Award. Now, that means that the Screen Actors Guild voters voted overwhelmingly, or at least in the majority, for him. They are all members of the Academy. The largest voting bloc in the Academy is the acting voting bloc. Therefore, the acting voting bloc is likely to have a majority of voting for Denzel Washington. They're 1,400 of the 6,000 voters, so that will probably carry the day. Also, Denzel... There's nothing against Denzel. Denzel is a celebrated legend of the silver screen, whereas Casey Affleck does have this niggling little sex scandal following him, nipping at his heels. No one's made a big detail out of it, or deal out of it, pardon me, but it is there. It's really kind of a 51% Denzel, 49% for Casey, and I would not put money on Denzel, but I am going to put my hat over on the Denzel side. Who should win? Well, Viggo Mortensen should win. Best Picture this year. I've already said it's going to go to La La Land. The nominations are Arrival, Fences, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, Hidden Figures, Moonlight, La La Land, Lion, and Manchester by the Sea. For all the reasons I've said before, La La Land is going to win this year. What should win this year? Manchester by the Sea. Let's take a quick look at what Jim Flanagan had to say about this list. Jim Flanagan reckoned that Best Picture should be won by Manchester by the Sea, but La La Land will. Natalie Portman should win Best Actor. Mahershala Ali should win, but he reckons Jeff Bridges is going to win. No, he's not, Jim. No, he's not. In animated feature film, he reckons Kubo and the Two Strings is going to win. No, it's not. It's going to be Zootopia, Jim. Oh, I can't wait for you to be on the show. For cinematography, he reckons Moonlight should win, but he thinks La La Land will win. He thinks documentary, OJ, Made in America, is going to win. As I've said, I think maybe it's going to be I Am Not Your Negro or 13th. Foreign language film, he reckons Tony Erdmann should win, but Jim thinks Land of Mine will win. No, it's not, Jim. No, it's not. Moonlight, he thinks Moonlight will win adapted screenplay and he thinks original screenplay Hell or High Water is going to win. No, it's not. Manchester by the Sea is going to win. There you go. Thanks for watching this special long Oscar preview and prediction episode of Watch This. Jim will join me next week for a wrap-up of the Oscars. Take care.
Watch that, watch this.